Pete Hegseth is not just facing accusations of infidelity and sexual assault and calling for wars and calling for genocide against an entire religious group and all of that, although it should be enough. He also apparently has a big problem with drinking that goes back a long time. And apparently, according to 10 current and former Fox employees, his colleagues, this was a big issue and they were concerned about it there. 2 of those people said that on more than a dozen occasions during Hegseth's time as a co-host of Fox and Friends weekends, they smelled alcohol on him before he went on air. And I just want to remind everyone, this is a morning show. And I don't mean like a morning show like TDR is a morning show where we start at 10. This is like a morning show. So, some people like a Bloody Mary, I suppose those can be fun, but super early, not really common that you'd be reeking of alcohol at that point. But anyway, those same 2 people plus another said that during his time there, he appeared on television after they'd heard him talk about being hungover as he was getting ready or on set. And I do think you can go too far in trying to diagnose an issue here. If he's hungover, okay, it is the weekend. You can be hungover, especially as you get older, it's easier to be hungover. But being hungover for your morning show on the weekend and smelling like alcohol at your morning show, those are not the same thing. And it might be plausible that he's saying he's hungover to cover the fact that he's gonna be hungover once he's no longer drunk, which he is as he's going on air. At least that's what it seems like is going on. One of the sources said they smelled alcohol on him as recently as last month and heard about him complain about being hungover this fall. None of the sources that NBC News spoke to could recall an incident in which he'd missed a scheduled appearance because he'd been drinking. But one did say everyone would be talking about it behind the scenes before he went on air. And it wasn't just at Fox News that he apparently had this drinking problem. You could trace it back quite a while. And this is, I think, a much more important part of the story than just him being drunk before he has to sit down with like Ducey or whatever. I'd probably want to tie one on for that. No, on Sunday night, the New Yorker detailed concerns about his drinking at 2 jobs he held at nonprofit veterans groups before he went to Fox. Quote, a previously undisclosed whistleblower report on Hegseth's tenure as the president of Concerned Veterans for America, this is from 2013 to 2016, describes him as being repeatedly intoxicated while acting in his official capacity to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events. He's the leader of the organization, and they're physically carrying him out because he's becoming so intoxicated that he cannot leave under his own bodily control. And again, this isn't just a hangover. This is an official capacity, his job. And so what exactly are we supposed to do here? Just hope that if he becomes the Secretary of Defense, he won't be routinely plastered while international incidents are going on? A guy who, as we'll get to, is apparently horny for war with Iran. We're supposed to expect that he's not gonna be 2 or 3 drinks deep when he's ordering our soldiers into battle. I find this to be very concerning, Sharon. What do you make of it?
Yeah, and what about the 3 a.m. phone call that, he's gotta be aware and mentally stable for if that comes, okay, before he puts people in danger or makes an asinine decision. This is so ridiculous. Only the best people, okay? This guy, can one person other than his mom stand up and talk about how he's just a solid gentleman? I mean, his colleagues who are speaking, on background from Fox News are saying that he was showing up 10 minutes before air and getting his makeup done in the chair. Having been a morning anchor, I don't have a problem with that, but I wasn't drunk, okay? I wasn't drunk, and I could read copy blind, it was fine. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about far-reaching implications, and this is now silly that Donald Trump has not pulled this nomination. And oh yeah, there's others behind him that we'll still have to get to.
Yeah, 100%. And look, there's so much other stuff that's come out, and maybe it's not the sort of stuff that would matter to Republicans, I guess. But apparently, Hegseth at one point had been very critical of Donald Trump, and you can understand why. Back before Hegseth was a booster of Donald Trump's lifetime of comments denigrating military service and lying to avoid serving himself would probably bother a soldier. Now he's a loyalist and a cultist, and he's supposed to pretend that doesn't bother him. But at one point, he called him like an armchair tough guy and all this. So look, there's a lot of potential issues, and we'll see. Someone said in the chat that apparently he isn't yet stepping down. We'll see. We'll be tracking it. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?